Hello, lovelies. Long time no video, I know. I hope you're doing well and enjoying the summer if you're in the northern half of the planet. Today we have a new wave spell starting, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. It's Wednesday, June the 12th, 2024. It's in the Leo meridian time, 11:37 a.m., and the moon is at 4 degrees of Virgo, and the sun is at 22 degrees of Gemini, and Mars is at Taurus, 2 degrees. Out of practice with us, so bear with me. The reason that I'm making this video today is, first of all, it's been a long time and I've been going through a lot of stuff, and I've had some revelations over the past few days. So I've had intuitive connections, and so I'm just sharing those really. And hopefully this video is going to continue, because at the moment we've got big storms here in Florida. I don't know if you can see outside. It's currently not raining, but it is raining on and off like a deluge. And you can see it's very dark out there for this time of day, and it's thundering and lightning. So I'm hoping that I'm going to keep the power and keep my connection for this video. So to start, as we always do, with the calendar. Again, this is getting a bit battered. I need to do a new one. If you want one of these calendars, go onto my website, flowwithjo.com/resources. And there is a link on there. It's called a synchronizer. You can download this and you can print it and laminate it. And there you go. I made this one a long time ago, and that's another great thing to do as well, because making your own really helps you embody the process as well and understand it on a deeper level. So this is just an amazing tool that I'm sharing, and I'm on my 13th year of working with it every day intuitively, which is why I get downloads, if you will, about the calendar and my next step. So although I share resources and my findings, they are often simply my experiential findings and offered from that place. And you may need to follow a different path on this. So there is not one way to follow the path. My experience has been 13 years of moving this piece of blue tack every day, and then intuitively tuning in to what I need to find out on my own personal journey. So, and I found out a lot. It's been great. Doesn't take a lot of time every day either. And literally, I've had virtually no time over the past few weeks, because I've been going through a huge personal process and moving again, and I'm in a different space and in a different environment again, but also still trying to adapt to the environment of Florida, which is a huge shift from the UK, of course. So bearing this in mind, as human beings, we have a lot to go through. So this calendar also, just to know, if you do make one, it's in these different blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is a popular number, 5 colours. And currently we're in the 5th colour, we're in green, and we're here on Blue Eagle today. So Blue Eagle is the 15th Mayan sign. planet is Jupiter. We've got Jupiter in Gemini at the moment. I've also got Jupiter in Gemini. If you start looking at your own chart, then you'll find out where your Jupiter is. And Jupiter is the mastery planet. It's the expansion planet. And Blue Eagle is the second of what I call the 7 solar seals. So there's 20 Mayan signs, and the 7 after the first 13. They are like a mastery program, really building on the first 13. So I'm going to try and keep focused on this video. There's so much to share about the Mayan calendar. And so this video really is aimed at people who already have some experience of it. It's not a basic level. It's much more advanced. But at the same time, if you're drawn to watching it, there'll be some nuggets in there that you'll pick up and take your next step. That's my intention anyway. So when you're doing this journey, one of the key things about this is becoming a detective, and a blue eagle is a planetary server. Blue is transformation. So if you're a blue, that's what your energy is about. And this is why we all have different roles to play, and no one is more important than the other. It's not a hierarchical thing. In a different context, the more that you become hierarchical yourself in terms of your own personal spiritual path, that's the most important thing. So focus on the self, focus on healing is really, really important. So although I share all these tools of the Mayan calendar, which gives you a path to follow, astrology helps you understand it on a deeper level, healing is what takes you through the gateway. And so at the moment, as I said, we're in the 5th green castle, and my understanding of that is it's a 52-day process of red moon. So red moon, each one of these, what we call castles, the red, the white, the blue, the yellow, and the green. Each one of these begins with a red 13-day process, and it's followed by a white 13, then a blue, and then a yellow. The green is the additional in the bigger picture. Be with this. And again, Blue Eagle really is about the bigger picture. Who are we? Where are we on our path? In shamanic terms, in the Americas generally, Blue Eagle is comparable to a universal consciousness. So whereas a lot of religious European doctrines or systems or whatever you want to call them focus on God or goddess, the Americas shamanic terms really focus on Blue Eagle as being a very powerful force that we emanate from. So you check out people like Carlos Castaneda, for example, and other similar writers, modern day writers as well, around those metaphors, really. They're metaphors for how this whole holographic universe works. The more that we can find a system to help us navigate out of the conditioning and the mindsets of our cultures, the more that we can come into truth. And in order to do this, I believe, and this has been my personal experience, it's okay to know something intellectually about the eagle and read lots of books, and that will give us an intellectual awareness. So that's like the red castle, you know, of awakening to, oh, okay, there's a different structure going on. But then we come into refinement of that, of actually taking action on it and doing something with that. So we may have had a very challenging childhood. We may be finding it very challenging living on planet Earth now. And we decide that we're going to do something about it because as an individual, we can only change our individual outlook. We can only change our lens, our perception on the world. And that requires a lot of work. When we go into the blue, that's about healing and transformation. And then we go into the yellow, which is a manifestation. So these processes happen within these 52-day processes over and over again. And this loop of 260 days happens over and over again. And as you can see, we've started up here. So we've gone through the red, the white, the blue, and yellow. Now we're in the green. And what does the green really mean? And why don't we have that in our own 13-day, 13-year processes? And so this is the castle of enchantment, the castle of magic. And I believe this is about the ascension level of the whole bigger picture. So as a planetary server, if we do this process, if we see our bigger picture, that we have come here in this lifetime to become clear and free of any ancestral patterns that are no longer serving us. As one individual, it's like being a pixel in a huge picture, in a huge holograph. As we change on the inside, the outside has to change because that's the law of the universe. So the only way that we can create real change outside is that we have to create change from the inside. Hey, sorry about that. I had to stop there because my husband was just phoning me to tell me about he's stuck in the car now and he can't go anywhere because of the weather. So we can see that outside. It is really coming down a lot. Okay, so hopefully it won't interfere with the process and we can carry on. Okay, so we're in this constant process and I've been doing it, as I said, I'm in my 13th year. So here's another big tip around next steps and my personal cosmic cookie trail, as I call it. So first of all, I just worked intuitively and I was meeting other people and they had tips and ideas as well, which was great. And being in Glastonbury at the time was fantastic because there's loads of like-minded people there with alternative viewpoints. So there were lots of resources and lots of people that I could bounce ideas off. And I did. And also in my family, which I've talked about before, doing the family tree, which my mum had done a lot of research on that has just been mind-blowing. So I urge you to do that and start mapping not only your ancestry, but also your Mayan map as well, because this has been instrumental in helping me understand family patterns. And once you start going deeper, then you can see that somebody has the same pattern. So, for example, my daughter and my granddad on my maternal line have white galactic wizard, and they have similar things going on in their astrology. So they both have, I think it's Jupiter in Pisces, for example. And so that's very interesting. So again, depending on your perspective, you can start to look at lots of different ways, lots of different filters of understanding the challenges that you're going to face. And again, earlier on, because I work as a therapist as well, so over the years I've done groups, I've specialised with women on women's challenges with the sacred feminine and the masculine, toxic masculine especially. And because, you know, this is common ground for all of us. And then you can go deeper and you can see what your challenges are. We've all got challenges because human beings have got so much toxicity environmentally, DNA wise, genetically wise. Just watched a great documentary actually on Discovery about a family of 12 children, Irish Catholic descent, but living in America. And 6 of the 10 sons developed schizophrenia. And then it goes in depth into the reasons why that happens. So just because we've got a genetic predisposition and we can look at our epigenetics for that, it does not mean that that is going to happen ad infinitum, because there's so many variables. And so my background as well is a psychology student and constructing experiments, learning about how to control variables and environments, etc., in order to try and really get to the heart of what it is that's going on and why it's going on, what creates pathology in human beings, what creates hell on earth, and what creates heaven on earth. And of course, that is key to my family tribe, because the family lineage that I am following, the story that I'm following, is of my matriarchal grandmother, who had her Mayan sign 2 days ago in a white winged Wavespell. So she was a red crystal skywalker, and I came into this world on the Skywalker 52-day process, which is the White Castle and in the Blue Storm Wavespell. So again, if you're familiar with the Mayan language, you'll know what I'm talking about. If not, my apologies. I'll put it in layman's terms. So I came in to heal my genes, my story in my family, and learn about what created problems in my family. And then to trace that definitively using astrology and the Mayan calendar. And people who say that these things are not science, I challenge them to actually study this in depth for themselves personally over a period of time. Because when you do that as an individual, then you see the evidence for yourself. So I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm not trying to debate anything either. Because for me, I just feel it's a waste of time. I'm happy to discuss things and share information with a common goal of discovery that helps humanity, that helps us all. That's what I want. And the more that we get clear and the more that we heal, then the more that we create heaven on earth, because we're working together as an Aquarius team at this time, because I believe this is what this team time is about. It's about being a team, but also about being an individual and about being authentic. So the Green Castle for me is where we go into the next level. And why is that? Because red moon is the red awakening in the green castle. And it's the 9th Mayan sign. So again, I'll show you one here. If you know about numerology, that's very helpful as well, because that's key to the system. So we've got in the first 13, which is all about the human being creating heaven on earth, first 13 Mayan sign. The 9th sign is red moon, which means in numerology, your first octave, your first 8 steps, so your first 8 Mayan signs, your first 8 years, your first 8 days, galactic, about integration. An integration of the human being wounding story to align with the galactic sun. So the sun is like this huge energy, consciousness, light that is beaming out an evolutionary code. And the more that we get clear as a human being, our light bodies, our energy bodies hold that code instead of holding shadow story. So each 8 days, each 8 years, we have these steps formulated for us that we can use this tool. And then on the 9th, we come into being or becoming more of a beacon of light, and also being authentic. And that's how we be a beacon of light, because we are speaking from the heart, from an objective place, truth, from a healed space more and more as we heal. And we can hold a different frequency because we're not vibrating with the fear story, the shadow story. That's what the whole process is about. So the whole process is going from on the 20-day process, which is going from red dragon down to yellow sun every 20 days. So we have 13 20-day processes. We have 13 red moons. This is the power of 13, which is different to the Gregorian calendar, which is 12. This is the cosmic shift. This is the return of the goddess. We are moving, we're creating a shift, we're aligning with the universe as it really is, not how it's been distorted by masculine civilizations recently over the last 5,500 years. So also, we are in the 12th moon. Today we're on day 14 of that, which means we've got 14 days left to get clear, to get authentic, more and more, based off the previous 11 moons, which began on the 26th of July 2023. We've been going through a process. We've all been going through a process, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. And the more we awaken, refine, and transform, the more that we are in that place of being real. And so here we are, we're quite a way down on the blue eagle. Actually, I've lost my blue hat there. I remember in the old days it used to be, oh my God, panic, where's my blue hat gone? I don't know how to get where to put it back on. So if you're still in that stage, remember you can always use the decoder, and I will put that underneath. You just put the date in, that will tell you what day it is, blue magnetic eagle, and then you have to find it. Okay? So I remember the days when I was looking at other people's resources, and if they ever went down because they were doing web work or some completely disappeared, I was like, oh wow, you know, I don't know how to do this. But eventually you get to the point where you do, if you persevere. But that's it. You know, that's the same rule. for everything on the path. It's being able to be sovereign, stay in your center, no matter what the storm is doing. This is the challenge that we have now. And there's no getting away from it. There's no avoiding it. Snakes and ladders, you know, sometimes we go up, sometimes we slide down again because we haven't integrated that lesson yet. We haven't made the right choices. And more so at the moment, I'm doing a lot of research on ADHD. And again, this is mind-blowing stuff. And although it feels very challenging and takes a lot of time and energy, going through this process is essential to understand. So I know in my family, my grandmother definitely had that, definitely suffered from anxiety because of what happened to her as a child. And I have had to go through a very similar journey in some respects to understand how she became to be the person she was when I came into the world. And, you know, speaking to my mum, she has a different perception of her because, well, she grew up with her, which I did not. And she was part of all these events. So, you know, I came in at a different generation, different coding. So it's great to talk to people in family and see their different perceptions and understand that everybody does have their own unique perception. And again, the shadow of Red Moon is about projection. So people not understanding that we all project our own story in some way, because that's how our wiring works. We come from a place of learning. Sometimes we get stuck in that place, especially if we've had a traumatic event. And hey, who hasn't? Some people have had extreme traumatic events, and these have created belief systems around fear, trying to protect others, trying to control others, and often coming from a place of good intention as well, although not always. Not coming from a wise place, no, because each person has to do their own experiential story. So it's finding this middle ground, this balance, in order to help people navigate as children, but not be overburdened by somebody else's previous story and feel that they have to live in the shadow of it. Okay, so my revelation is this happened in White Wind, the previous one. So first of all, again, another nugget is patterns, especially for women with childbirth as well, because of course the women are bringing in the new generations. We are the gateway, we are the portal that's bringing that person in. So that person that's within us as a human being is being carried around for 9 months. There's no coincidence that the dream spell is 9 months. So we've got that person in our body with our flesh, literally, with a mixture of genes, a mixture of things that have come in from both lines, the mother and the father. That's a huge subject in itself. Then the mother's experience of what was happening to her whilst all of that was going on for the child, what the child's picking up. Again, Gabor Mate is great, talks about this in depth, how we are made for our place, our survival, because of what we've picked up from our mother during that 9 months. All of these things going on at a deep level. This is not an intellectual awareness. Again, so key to know that. So once we come into the world, we come in with a vibration, with a resonance, with a code, which is revealed in astrology, it's revealed in the Mayan calendar especially. So the more that we know about our family tree, our ancestry, our epigenetics, our DNA, our traits, our patterns, our mothers. So, for example, I was being born for 3 days, and my son, whose Mayan day it is today, was also on a 3-day journey. The end result was different because I had a cesarean, my mum didn't. She managed to give birth to me naturally. And my son began his 3-day journey on my grandmother's Mayan day. My grandmother knew about about her grandson, and she died before he was born. And when I had my first scan, it was her funeral. So again, that's an interesting, bigger picture perspective. I've also done some more research over the past couple of weeks with my mum, and we've had some major patterns come up about deaths and events around grandmothers. So again, it's like seeing that everything does happen for a reason. It has a timeline, it has a lineage, but at the same time, that's not fixed, that we have the power to change that by changing ourselves. So we change the outcome, we change the story, but we're still working within these parameters. And yes, we do have free will within these parameters. And at this time, when we're trying to go off distorted wounding patterns, it takes a lot of energy, and it's easy to slip back into old habits that don't serve us, especially around addictions, because addictions are a way of avoiding those feelings that we don't want to feel. So again, the more that we come into understanding what they're there for, what addictions are about, how we behave as a human being, then we can coach ourselves as well. And you will find in all my videos, I talk about emotional freedom technique. That is so key to help people feel. To let the emotions come in, understand triggers, understand what triggers our emotions, what thoughts we have, what belief systems we have, and keep the ones that serve us, let go of the ones that don't, transform them. That's key to my Mayan sign, which is blue solar hand, which is all about going through that gateway as a 9. So the more that we can let go of our fear and speak up and not create more drama or wounding, so the more we become clear, we let go of being angry about this stuff, and we can talk about it, and we can share information rather than having arguments. And sometimes, yes, that's just what we've got to go through, and it's part of the process. But I find the more that you tap on things before you actually have a conversation, then you don't need to do that in the same way. So back to the 13 patterns. So at the moment, I am in a 13-year cycle of yellow. And for me, that is yellow human. So what I'm embodying as a human being. So in previous videos, I talk about the tribes that we're in. And there's 20 Mayan signs. And in each, there are 4 codes, 4 patterns, 4 archetypes. And so there are 5 tribes. And so my tribe is red earth, white wind, blue hand, and yellow human. And I have 13-year cycles in these, as everybody does. And so the thing that I have discovered is when I work with clients who are interested in doing this process, which I haven't for quite a long time now because I've been doing my own journey and I just have not had the resources or time to do this with people, but I'm hoping to come back into that space at some point soon. When I work with somebody, I will look at their 5 patterns, their cycles in terms of the bigger picture. But I will look at their 4 13-year cycles and their 4 tribal members. And then we can actually work out how they were living that. So making this intellectual framework, this magical framework, be accessible to people, even if you don't know the language, even if you don't know Mayan stuff, even if you don't know astrology, you know your history. It's all in there somewhere. You might think that you don't. It may not be in your conscious awareness, but these tools are so magical that when I've worked with people and said, okay, so this 13-year cycle happened from when you were 18 to 30. What was happening for you then? And then we can map, when we go through each 13-day process, it relates to those 13 years. And you can see the magic in the holograph because you can see, wow, that is playing out now. That's happening right now. And I'm at a certain stage with it, of awareness, of refinement, of transforming it, or just seeing the manifestation unfold. And then you're at a much stronger choice point, which is really, really magical. It's like switching a light bulb on. You know, it's illuminating everything that's going on and becoming a master of our own journey. So we don't feel ungrounded. We don't feel out of our center because these tools are designed thousands of years ago for this huge transformation time in human evolution. So the revelation that I had was, okay, so I'm in this yellow 13-year pattern. And at the moment, I'm on year 2 of it, which means I'm in red lunar human. So if you already know your Mayan sign, you'll know that that happened when you were born. That's what created the Mayan signature for you, your galactic signature. And then when you become 52, that's the only time that these spirals align again. So again, you on that birthday, you have your Mayan sign again. On every other year, you go through these 13-year cycles and patterns. So you put the dates in a decoder and you become aware of the codes. So for me, each year is going to be in this process of red, red earth, white, white wind, blue, blue hand, yellow, yellow human. And for you, depending on what tribe it is, you'll be the same with your own tribe. So this is why I'm in a 13-year cycle of yellow human, and this year I'm in the 2nd year of it, so it's red lunar human. And on my birthday this year, I'll be going into a white, which will be white electric wind. So hopefully you're with me so far. You can just put it in the decoder and start to learn these patterns. It's a lot to learn. It's a whole different language because it's a different paradigm. And when I first encountered it, I was like, wow, this is so big. You know, I just can't handle it right now. However, it came in at the perfect time for me, which was Red Skywalker time. That's when I got my first calendar. And that's been the whole process. And I've just started to uh, reveal it, really. So it's like a huge black space. Literally, it's like looking out at the sky and not seeing any stars to begin with. And then this little light goes on, this star system goes on, and you start to understand that. And then as you progress, more and more things become illuminated, because this is the whole point of the spiral. You go over and over these patterns, these cycles, with different astrology every time. And if you're a diligent student, you're learning about these things, and you are learning about yourself, and you're healing yourself. That's the most important thing. And then as we change, life becomes not necessarily easier, because it is very difficult now. The game's on hard. This is how it is, because of where people are on their pattern and their path. And we're now faced with this choice. And this choice is, do we evolve or do we devolve? Do we learn from our mistakes, from our choices? Do we become a conscious creator? Or do we simply believe what other people in power say to us and tell us is the truth? So this is where we're at. So yes, it's hard, it's difficult, but these tools help us to ground and understand that we are simply going through the storm, and that eventually the storm will stop and the sun will come out, and we'll have time to breathe and to feel the joy of being a human being on planet Earth. And it's just simply the process that we have to go through, this birthing process. So the new pattern that I've discovered, and again, I have not done a huge amount of research on this. I have just done 2 of the patterns so far. So I have done my tribe, which I just mentioned, and I have also done my mum's pattern, which is also my son's pattern, the father of my children's pattern, and one of my auntie's patterns. And so again, you can map your family and you can see what role they're playing and what their journey is about on a very basic level. And so my mum's pattern is, she's a red serpent. She's in my Wavespell of Blue Storm. So she's a red resonant serpent. She's a portal. She's a huge teacher for me. And we are so lucky to be able to have this great dialogue about the ancestry and discover it and expand on it and go through huge gateways because of that. So that tribe is red serpent, white dog, blue eagle, and yellow sun. So this energy, this tribe is about the bloodlines. It's about awakening to the Kundalini, about refining the ancestral patterns so we can connect to the Sirius star magic of our soul tribe. Blue Eagle is about, as I've said, being a planetary server and becoming a master of this process. And Yellow Sun is about being able to hold the light free of the shadow story. And this is so, so important. So I can't really emphasize how important this is. If a person is not doing a healing process, they are not able to evolve, period. So if you're with people who are holding themselves as healers, teachers, masters of something in that space. And I've met a lot of people like this. And they're not doing their own personal shadow process, then it's lip service. It's literally lip service. And it is not coming from any integrated space. It is essential that people do this process, this healing process, in order to go to the next level. And what I mean by that is not keep being stuck in the wounding story and doing the same habits, doing the same behaviors. That's it in a nutshell. So what is the new pattern? So again, I just discovered this. So the significance of this is, again, a revelation. You know, this is limitless, this matrix, this Mayan matrix, this dream spell of what you can discover. So again, I'm just going to talk about it briefly because I've not embodied it consciously. In terms of the process that it goes through. So again, this is a lot of language and I can't find another way to do this at the moment. So I'm open if you've got any suggestions about this. So when we get into a 13-year cycle, so this is about the yellow cycle because I have not done this for the others yet. We go through red, white, blue, and yellow of our own personal tribe. These particular individual Mayan tribal years are part of a 13-day Wavespell. So, for example, I'm going to talk about my yellow 13-year cycles because I've written that out. So I began my yellow human 13-year cycle in 2022. So that was yellow magnetic human, and that is a Wavespell in itself. Now that is in the Skywalker 52-day process. Okay, so where that is, so again, if you put in a decoder, you can see, if you want to know more about this, please just get in touch with me. This is very new. 52-day cycle I've been doing for a long time now, well, a couple of years. I'm familiar with it, and this is what I mean. Once you do it and you embody it and you process it, you then go to the next level, okay, because you get an intuitive download. Okay, so yellow human is here, is the 12th Mayan sign. It's about embodiments. It's about, this is a philosopher's stone. This body doesn't lie. It tells you where your energy is flowing. Okay, so you can see there, number one, it's in the White Castle. Okay, and the White Castle begins with Red Skywalker, which is here, which is the 13th Mayan sign, which is the Quetzalcoatl, the human being who wants to make the shift, 13th step. So it's in the White Castle of Refinement. It's the Red Skywalker. It's my grandmother. It's when I began my process with the calendar. Was I went to a workshop on Red Skywalker Day, 2nd of November 2011, got my first calendar, and away I went. Big events happen on that 13-day Wavespell for me, huge. Not in a good way, but that was good. Essential for my process. Okay, So there's a lot more I could say about that, but I'm not going to right now because again, it's big. Okay. So 2023 on my birthday, I'm on year 2, which is red lunar Earth, and I was 58 at that point. And so red lunar Earth is part of the yellow warrior wave spell. It's the second day. So throughout this whole 13-year cycle, all my tribal years each year are going to be part of a yellow wave spell. And they're going to repeat. And not only that, they're part of a castle. Are you with me so far? Okay, so each castle has its own process. So the first castle begins on the first day of the spiral. It's Red Dragon. It's about awakening to our survival codes and what the goddess is bringing us. And so it goes through a sequence and in the dream spell itself. So it goes through red, white, blue, yellow, green, and it follows a pattern. This does not follow the same pattern. This is a revelation. So first of all, it goes through Skywalker for me, which is in the White Castle. So what that means to me is I'm going to refine being a conscious creator, because this is what my bigger picture family pattern is about. This is the lineage that I am in, is how to create heaven on earth, because my wave spell comes in the blue part of Skywalker. It is about transformation of what came before. My grandmother as a red, the awakening. My mum as a red, awakening to the Kundalini in the body, how to shed the skins as a serpent, how to do relationship in the bloodline. My nan about becoming conscious of what creates heaven on earth, and then trying to create that for her family and make a difference from what family she'd been born into. So the next year, as I said, is Yellow Warrior. That's part of Red Earth, what's happening on planet Earth. It's in the Yellow Castle. So it's about what is manifest. So my first year is about refining, being a conscious creator. And on year 2, straight away, I am in the Yellow Castle. I'm seeing the manifestation of that. And as it's lunar, I'm looking at the emotional story of what's going on. So I'm becoming an expert, and I have this year all my emotional stuff, all my emotional story. Red moon. Am I being an authentic red moon, or am I still coming from that old emotional story that's distorting things? What's coming to light with Red Earth? Uranus, new pathways. That is intrinsic to my tribe. So Red Earth and White Wind, what's coming to light? Uranus. Blue Hand and Yellow Human is about what's manifesting me as a human being on planet Earth. How am I shaping my destiny? And the next year, so the year that I am coming into this year on my birthday, is Yellow Sun, part of the Yellow Sun. So White Electric Wind is Yellow Sun wave spell, which is in the Red Castle of Dragon. And it's also a clear sign, which is very important. So on year 3, which is the year of alchemy, electricity, how do I change these channels within me, my chi, I'm awakening to my survival and how do I thrive? What are my delusions and illusions with Neptune? How do I use the sword of truth? On year 4, I am in blue self-existing hand, which is the yellow seed wave spell. And this is in the blue castle. This is a portal year. And this, of course, is the area of the yellow seed is the huge column. There is the 10 Akashic record there. So that's going to be significant. How do I become self-existing? How do I shape my destiny? And tying in with red serpents, which is so key to understanding the bloodlines, the families, the relationship, the asteroids, the new consciousness coming in there with red serpents. So that's going to be very, very powerful. So again, you can see it's not doing the red, white, blue, yellow. Are you with me? It's doing white, yellow, red, blue. And then on year 5, I am in yellow overtone human. So I'm in the mastery year of being a human being. And that is Yellow Star Wavespell, which is in the green castle of Red Moon. So immediately that to me is like going up to the next level of mastery of in these first 4 years. I need to really focus on this process, and I'm getting this heads up now, which is perfect. And being able to just master being the real, authentic, truth liver, living the truth, being an authentic human being. Okay, so that, and then back to, so in 2027, where we've got a huge year coming up, White Solar Wizard year, the gateway year on the planet, that's going to be a big year. And the solar eclipse, is it a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse? Not sure, but it's a big event anyway. And check that out because that's huge. So 2027, red rhythmic earth for me, yellow human wave spell, and we're back then to the red skywalker 52-day process of creating heaven on earth in life. So that is the process. We've got that dynamic is repeating. So again, I haven't really taken it all in right now, but of course I can do that with red 13-year cycles and see what that pattern is. I can do that with white, I can do that with blue. But for me, that's where I always come from, focus on my own journey, my own patterns, and then share that with everybody else. So back to the Blue Eagle wave spell that we're starting today. So when we're in a blue, we're focusing on transforming the previous 2 wave spells. And so we're really looking at where am I being authentic? Where am I leveling up? Where am I deciding to make choices that are for my highest good and not going along with what other people are saying and doing just for the sake of it to keep the peace or stay in the comfort zone? Because now is not the time to stay in the comfort zone. This is comfort zone is old learning, it's ego being scared and stuck, and the only way is to push forward. Mars in Taurus is very powerful because it's taking action, grounded practicality. And it doesn't mean that you have to be stubborn. It doesn't mean that it has to be a red rag to a bull either. And so, wherever possible, we're trying to focus now on what the triggers are, working on the triggers, being diplomatic in speaking truth, not coming from a place of argument wherever possible. And so, setting that intention today, because we're in this waxing moon in Virgo, what's the sacred feminine? What's the reality, really, as well? Often, are we operating in a space of reality, or are we being delusional, giving ourselves false optimism or hope? It can be difficult to find that balance, can't it? And of course, if we're not healing and we're not being in a grounded, centered space, often we're in a place of chaos and we're all over the place, making silly decisions, being in a place of panic and firefighting as well. So that is not something that's going to create a good outcome further along. So I think I'm going to leave it there for now. I know that's a lot to process, but for me, again, I like to share this in videos so that it's out there and I can rewatch it as well, because often these videos that I make later on, I look back and I think, wow, it's a reminder. It's a stepping stone. It's, wow, okay. So, when you forget, when you get gaslit or overwhelmed, when we feel unsure, uncertain, and we lose our focus sometimes because there's so much going on. And especially being around people who are unstable or very wounded, damaged. A lot of those people out there right now thinking that that is the way that we have to live, and it is absolutely not true. Then knowing oneself is very important. So if you're on the Mayan path, if you're on an astrology path, if you're wanting to use these tools, then I hope this is really helpful for you. It's been hugely helpful for me when I connect to this stuff. I have more and more faith in the system, in the process of this consciousness that was designed for this time. I absolutely know that it's truth because I'm living it every day and it's wow. So let's just find more wow stuff and share it and know that in the future, these paradigm languages and processes will be everyday truth and be used by our society and honoured, and the sacredness will be ever expanding. So lots of love. Hope you enjoy your Blue Eagle Wavespell, and I hope you create lots of transformation for yourself and in turn for the world. Lots of love. Bye for now.